right, you guys. We're back on the Hey Frage podcast, and there is never a dull moment. I say to AJ, before we get into this interview, it's so funny because I'm in Maine, as you know, AJ, with my entire family. My mom, my brother, Shmano is here, my fabulous niece. But it is like you cannot get anything done. We have a dome business that is like being built. My mom's out there hammering things, finding the cat. I mean, it's just never like there's never a dull moment. My niece is doing online school next to the podcast, and she wants to come on and narrate. AJ, it's never a dull moment.
Might I recommend, go into a closed room, maybe get like a basement room and say live studio recording.
Actually, you know what? I really should have done that. I should have gone down into one of the bedrooms, but instead I'm literally in the community room.
The family community room.
Such a bad idea, but I enjoy the lighting. So anyway. Okay, well, aside from that, we have a great show for you today. I am so excited about this couple. I don't think we've had anybody on in recent memory that has got a love story like these guys. You're about to meet Michael and Alicia. Now, they initially met in 2013, but really their love story picked up when Michael was incarcerated. So you're going to find out why Michael was incarcerated. You're going to find out how they had a love connection in jail and then started dating. And guess what? Because of COVID-19, he's released early from jail, and now they are thrown into living together to see if their relationship will work. And AJ, I want to know what that COVID post-incarceration sex is like, girl.
We were almost joking with them. Is she shackling you up in some handcuffs? He goes, no, too soon. I go, oh, okay, true.
Sorry, way to go there. Anyhow, so I want all your thoughts because I do have to say in doing this, and Alicia is a friend of the show. She's actually been on a couple years ago when she was working for a matchmaking site. When I first heard this, I thought, okay, so there is such a stigma, with people incarcerated in jail and then you falling in love with them. How is this going to work? And is she being smart for herself? So I think their story is pretty interesting, and you can email us, or better yet, people really like to message us on social media. So it's at Hey Frage on Instagram, TikTok, basically everywhere social media is. It's at Andrea Lopez Comedy on IG, on TikTok. So message us, guys, after this interview, because we're kind of thinking about following their love story. Don't you think, AJ, checking in with them?
Yeah, we should do. We were thinking weekly check-ins, but I think it could even be, every 2 weeks, just see how it's going. Because, we're going to be in quarantine for a while. So we need to see where they're at a month down the road. Yeah,
I mean, I really want to see, can they make it? Because I think they have a lot of challenges. And I'm not even sure if they know all their challenges yet,
Oh, yeah. No, it's going to be really hard. But I think they passed the first hard test of getting the family and the friends in line, because there is a lot of stigmas. So we ask them all of that. And it's I was honestly, my personal, I always have just like prejudiced beliefs about these things because it's not a normal type of relationship.
Right. Well, I think we're so inundated with stories all the time. Look for the red flags. And of course, when you hear somebody's incarcerated, that's unfortunately a major one, so I think you're always set up for that. But they actually, Michael and Alicia, talk about this kind of whole Facebook community, this whole world that supports people who are in relationships with people who are incarcerated or coming out of those. So they'll get into that too. I can't wait to reveal it. So that is coming up. We do want to thank our sponsor and let you guys know that we are offering specials right now. We realize that it's a challenging time for businesses, big and small. So AJ and I have opened up all of our social media. That's over 200,000 social media followers, about 100,000 nationwide and 100,000 local to the DC area. Also, we have 50,000 podcast downloads a month, thousands of views every week on our live show. If you're interested, packages start just at $75, $150 and $300. It's Sarah, SARAH, at heyfrage.com. So we do want to thank our latest sponsor who has taken over this show. We love Amanda Hodson. So she is an Usborne book distributor. I had never discovered what Usborne and Kane Miller are, but Usborne and Kane Miller books are the most exciting, engaging, and educational books on the market today. They're high quality, innovative, lavishly illustrated, and best of all, they are books kids love to read. You can choose from 1,800 bright, colorful, and fun titles covering a wide wide variety of subjects and covering kids from itty bitty bitty, just toddlers, all the way up through elementary school. More than 30 years ago, Peter Usborne pioneered a new generation of books, and boom, the business was born. Amanda Hodson is our listener. We hope you guys will support her and buy these books through her. I was checking out the website, and if I had kids already, I would be purchasing. They're great. You can follow. Maybe I'll just buy them in advance, you know?
Yes, stock up.
The books are all about encouraging children to read and finding literacy, plus making it fun. So if you have direct questions, you can contact Amanda. Her email for Usborne Books is Amanda, AMANDA, Hodson, HODSON, 06@gmail.com. AJ and I will be putting up her direct link where you can buy from her. And you can follow her on Instagram, Amanda.Hodson. So thank you, Usborne Books, for learning something every day, AJ. I had no idea they existed.
We love our sponsors. Thank you guys so much.
Guys are awesome. All right, so here they are. You're about to meet Alicia and Michael. Their love story started a little before Michael went to jail, but here's how it's all unfolding. This is so exciting, AJ. I mean, love against all odds. Oh my God, I love a juicy love story. You know we love love on this show. So today we have some special guests. Alicia and Michael are with us. Now, Alicia, we were talking about this. You were on the show with us because actually Michael plays into this. Probably like 2 or 3 years ago, right? When you were working for a matchmaking service.
Yeah, that's right. I was a matchmaker with 3-day rule.
Which, by the way, I still feel like you are a terrific matchmaker. So why are you not in this business? I hope you're launching your own after all this.
Oh my gosh, I loved it. I loved meeting all the people. I loved setting people up. At the end of the day, I'm not too much of a saleswoman, but I really liked the matching part. I just didn't like selling.
Oh, yeah. When it gets to the part about you're supposed to pay me, you know what? I'll do this for free. Yeah, no, that's not a good formula.
There we go. Well, but I love setting people. It's hard to sell love, though. Like, people get really offended if you set them up with the wrong person. So
even if they're paying for a service, they get upset.
Well, yeah, because like people have, they have certain ideas about themselves, and then like if you set them up with someone who's a dud or who they think is a dud, then they're like, oh, well, what do you think of me? It's very delicate.
Actually, I do have to say that I had a girlfriend do It's Just Lunch, and she was so upset all the time with who they set her up with, and I'm like, girl, like just go and enjoy it. But she took it very personally too, so I could see that.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we'll get into that because Michael was part of this, and then you totally cock-blocked him, like until you got
That's like one of my favorite parts of the story.
So, you guys, we wanted to have you on because we are totally fascinated. And I think it was a couple months ago, Alicia had messaged me and started to tell me about your love story. And the reason that this has some twists and turns is you all actually met back in 2013. Then fast forward, you guys never really date. But Michael ends up getting involved and wrapped up in this case, goes to jail for a period of time. You guys reconnect while you're locked up, Michael. And then now we're in a pandemic and you all are trying to see if your love is going to make it, essentially living together after all this. So kind of fill in the blanks for us, guys, of how your love story started.
Yeah, so we met back in 2013. We were both working at Barcelona Wine Bar on 14th Street. And I was the hostess and Michael was the head bartender. And he asked me out a couple of times. He wrote "Let's go out" on a paper napkin and left it at the host.
Okay. I mean, Michael, that's hot. Because let's be honest, you guys are working at Barcelona, which is the hottest spot in all of DC. Everybody that's good looking comes in there. So the fact that you guys saw everyone coming in and thought, now they've got nothing on this other person, that's pretty impressive that you two are still like in love.
Yeah. It was a good time. It was a high volume place with a lot of good energy, but I think Alicia outshined a lot of people that came there. So it was a given that I would shoot for her, I think.
And I had just gotten, so I laughed him off, but the truth is I had just gotten out of a long-term relationship, so I wasn't really interested in dating anybody. But I always adored Michael. Like, he just had the best energy and like his calm under pressure. Like, you've seen Barcelona on a Saturday night. Like, it's
crazy. Yeah.
So to be head bartender on a Saturday night and be dealing with all those different people and to be able to like keep a smile on your face and keep the place, going and everyone having a good time. Like, I just always loved that about Michael, and I loved his energy and his work ethic. And so, yeah, the more we worked together, the more I really started to admire him.
Love that.
And AJ, jump in too, because we both have a ton of questions. But so you guys never actually officially date when you're working together. Alicia, you leave, you go to be on this reality show, The One That Got Away, where you go back and try to find like your first love. I mean, how insulting to poor Michael. I mean, here he is, like, putting himself out there while she's looking for an old love that doesn't want her. I mean, okay, Michael. Anyway, then you work for 3-day rule, and you call Michael to say to Michael, oh, hey, I want to use you in the rotation of people. But you secretly never even put him in the rotation.
Well, I had to get, attractive guys in my dating pool. That's part of my job. And so I was getting, all the attractive guys in my database that I could think of that would be good to set up with someone. So I got Michael to meet me for coffee, and I asked him all about, what he was looking for and his preferences and his love life and his past experiences. And we wrapped up the interview, and I was like, you know what? I can be really jealous if actually another woman dates him. So I put him in there, but I marked him as unavailable. And my coworkers were like, hey, can we set this guy up? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I just don't think he's like in the right place right now. Like, let's try again in a few months. Just put him on hold.
Michael, is any of this a red flag for you?
Well, I didn't know until after the fact. I just figured no one was interested because I didn't get any hits. So
that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I would be like hitting up Alicia, like, hey, any takers here?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, I know. You poor guy. You must have been questioning your self-esteem. This woman had been rejecting you for years. Then you go on a matchmaking site, for God's sake, with desperate women. You can't even get a match there.
Yeah, right.
So, all right, guys, when was it? Okay, so 2017, 2018, things that you guys start to reconnect. However, Michael, you're caught up in this situation. You get into some legal issues. Were you advised by your attorney essentially to take a plea deal, but you knew you were innocent, so you said no? How did it escalate to the point that you had to serve time?
Well, I didn't fully understand the charges lodged against me, and I just felt as if things were going to work out. I didn't want to take a plea. I didn't do it, and then they kept stacking charges on me. Then what eventually happened was the charges that I didn't want to plea out to weren't even a part of the final outcome. So I held out for too long, and in the original plea for a year, which I should have taken. I mean, I had an opportunity to take. Let me put it this way: there was a plea on the table where there was no jail time. I wouldn't have served any jail time, but my then attorney didn't tell me about the plea. Oh. And I didn't learn about that plea until well after I switched attorneys. And by that time, the only plea on the table was for 2 years or 2.5 years. So I had to take that, and the judge gave me all of that, and I ended up serving 21 out of 30 months.
And Michael, I know this case is like ongoing to some degree, so you can't comment on everything, but can you give people a sense of what this was about? Because it sounded like it was a series of maybe threatening text messages involving somebody else that did something, far worse. What can you tell people about how it kind of got to that point?
Yeah, I lost my cool one night, and I had a couple of drinks, and I sent out some threatening text messages, and I didn't let it go. I should have just let the situation go. And I didn't, and then that's all it takes. It's pretty much did I send out the text messages? I did, and I didn't have a defense to it, and that's what it was. I should have just let it go. So I learned a lot from the situation.
So when did you actually have to start serving time? Because before that, you and Alicia had actually kind of connected, but there was then a period of time where like Alicia couldn't get a hold of you, didn't know what happened. So when did that communication stop, guys?
In July, we had spoken about a week before.
Yeah.
Alicia was out at a bar with one of my friends, or she had ran into one of my friends who was the bartender at a bar, and she had invited me to come join her. Did you invite me?
Yeah.
But I had turned it down. I was working out or something. I was doing something, and I just turned it down. But that was the last time that we had communicated. And then I got arrested in early July of 2018.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah. And so for mine, I kept texting him, and then he just kind of disappeared. And at that time I knew he had been thinking of moving away from DC. So it struck me as odd that he wasn't replying, but I was kind of like, well, maybe he's just like starting over or busy or whatever. And I didn't think about it too much. But then when a few months went by and he wasn't answering any of my messages, that's when I got a sense that something was up.
So then how do you all connect while Michael is serving time? How do you connect with him? And then you guys start writing these kind of beautiful letters. I mean, you become an advocate for him, Alicia. How did that start?
So I had the suspicion that something was up, and I went down to the courthouse and I looked him up, and I got access to, his sentencing documents. And I remember this like gut punch when I realized that he had been incarcerated. And, for me, he's just like this amazing man and someone who's been so important to me, who had just been taken out of my life and was being, held at the jail. And it was just a really hard day. Like, I broke down in tears at the coffee shop while I was reading all these documents. And so I just immediately sent him a letter, and I kept it lighthearted. I said, lucky for you, I'm a narcissist. And when a man stops replying to my messages, I assume he's either dead or in jail. So I found you.
Michael, when you got that letter, were you thinking, oh God, this bitch again, here it is. She's never sent me up on a date. I've asked her out a million times, and now she's tracking me down. I mean, what were you thinking when you got that first letter?
I mean, I was surprised. I was happy. I was surprised that she made such an effort to get in contact with me. But, I started to think, Alicia had always texted me every now and then and stayed in contact with me. But I'm kind of slow sometimes when it comes to figuring out if somebody likes me. So I wasn't exactly sure. But when I received the letter, it felt good. It felt good to have somebody who didn't forget about me, didn't just write me off, and went through such great lengths to make sure I was all right. And I was excited to talk to her again. I was a little concerned about being, I guess, I don't know, overzealous to talk to her. So I kind of like played it cool, I would say.
Well, that's what I think is amazing about your story, like where you guys are, because I think most people would have given up many times along the way. You know what I mean? Like, you guys never kind of really connected. You were friendly. Then, to Alicia, to take the initiative to find out where he is and if he's okay, and then to write, and you write back, Michael. I mean, it's amazing, because I think people they don't seem to put in that much effort and hard work for relationships now,
Definitely not.
Part of it, I mean, definitely, like, I as terrible as it was, it's kind of like the incarceration that brought us together. Because I think when someone's taken away from you like that, sometimes it just becomes crystal clear, like, how much you want or need that person in your life. And so when Michael was just taken away from me, it was just the worst feeling. And I was like, I was just so relieved that he was alive, first of all. And I was like, I'm never letting him go.
Yeah, it was nice in the sense that we were able to talk a lot and get to know each other, and get to know what makes each other tick, and find out about each other's past, and the good times that how she grew up and her family and friends and everything. So
there's nothing like a handwritten letter like that.
I know, and even that, I'm like, would people take the time to write handwritten letters today? And you guys did that.
Yeah, we have like a whole. I mean, this is just like a fraction of just letters that I have from Michael. I have boxes full of
This is like the notebook. I was going to say, today we text over apps or we meet on Tinder or Bumble, but we never really have the time to write handwritten letters. So what else were you guys communicating? You would go see him in jail. You would write letters. Did you have phone calls?
We did. We had their 15-minute phone calls. So someone cuts you off right at the end. So you have 60 seconds remaining.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we talk 2 or 3 times a day, except when they go on lockdown. When they go on lockdown, you just have no. So occasionally we'd have 2 weeks at a time with just no communication apart from letters.
Oh my God. And Michael, what would prompt lockdown in jail? Just someone, whatever, like a fight or something happened, then everyone's in lockdown?
Yeah, it would be that, or it would just be like some type of annual lockdown just to shake things up. They would just do it for the slightest infraction that, something could have happened on the other side of the jail that had nothing to do with your unit, and they would just lock you down and shake you down, and just to keep you off balance. I really think,
Guys, talk to us about what your family and friends said. Because, Michael, I know you had shared with us that you really weren't looking for a relationship while you were in jail. You didn't feel like, maybe Alicia would be interested or anyone would be interested. And, of course, you just dealt with a very, stressful trial and all of that. So how did you guys start telling people about your relationship, and what was your friends and family reaction?
I would say, well, some of my friends immediately saw how excited I was when I got his first letter. And I was just like, oh, no, it's not that we're just friends. And they're like, they saw that I was and I would say my friends who knew Michael were immediately supportive off the bat. My friends who didn't know Michael, it was interesting. It was an opportunity for me to really deepen my friendships because, I had to have a lot of hard conversations, right? And I think when you have a friend who really does love you and care about you, they are going to ask you some hard questions and ask, why, what happened, how are you going to confront life after this? Are you thinking of the future? Are you thinking of just all the implications of incarceration? And so I had a lot of tough conversations with my friends, but at the end of the day, they all came around. And something that I really learned from the experience too is that people tend to speak from their own shame, right? So I learned into not the words that people were saying, but what from their experience was coloring that opinion or coloring those words. So, I might get a really harsh critique from someone who is struggling with their own love life, and they were speaking more out of jealousy for me being so happy and having this romantic connection. Or, one of my friends admitted to me, he was, I think I just wasted so much time waiting for girls. And so I'm criticizing you for setting aside a year of your life. Or another girlfriend criticized me, and then she admitted, well, my cousin was incarcerated for 20 years, and that had a huge impact on her family. So there's usually something that's inspiring someone to be critical.
Michael, what is your take on this? Because, you made some mistakes or whatever, but you also, weren't really told the plea deal you could have taken. Now you're in jail. Now you have that stigma about you. What do you say to people? Because I think it's so great that you guys are brave to put it out there, and you're a person. It's like any of us can make a mistake. So how did you feel when her friends some were supportive, some weren't?
I felt as if it was good to have it was healthy to have pushback from her friends, and I was happy they were offering that, and it was expected, so I try not to let the predictable upset me. I was happy she was willing to be in a relationship with me, but at the same time I was concerned that it would work, and I didn't want her to, I'm not gonna say waste her life, but I was in such a mercurial position. I wasn't sure what the future held and everything. So I didn't want her waiting for me. If jail is one of those places where anything could happen. You can run your time up just like that, And I was concerned that was going to occur. And I was looking at an April release date, April of 2020 release date, but my max date would have been December of 2020. So I was concerned that it was just going to drag on. I was concerned that she was going to wait on me, and maybe when I got out mentally, I wouldn't be for a relationship. That was my concern.
I was going to say, now guys, fast forward, Michael, you got early release because of COVID-19. You two have been and are continuing to be vocal about the conditions in DC jail during COVID-19. Michael and Alicia, you both said that, the jail didn't take it seriously. Michael, you actually said that you thought prisoners should have been in lockdown to prevent them from getting sick, which didn't happen, right?
Yeah. See, my position is, lockdown sucked. Don't get me wrong, but for the slightest infraction, they would lock us down for weeks or a month or more if it came down to a fight or contraband being found. But when it came down to our health and our well-being and stopping the spread of a potentially lethal disease, they didn't do anything. I literally spoke to the deputy warden about the influx of people that were coming to the block I was on, and I asked her, could you quarantine people or slow down the influx, and she just flat out said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to stop transferring inmates between units. There's no reason to do that. Medical hasn't given us a reason to do that. And that was the end of March. That was April 1st. And she was still they were just oblivious. It was just blatant neglect and indifference to the situation at hand. And they never told us anything. Like, if had you not had access to a television to watch the news, you wouldn't have known that there was a coronavirus. You wouldn't have known anything.
Isn't that unreal?
That's unreal to me. I don't understand.
I had people who were sick being forced to report to work in the kitchen, because if you don't report to work, then you get sent to the hole, or like solitary confinement, essentially. So you have every disincentive to pretend you're healthy. So they had people coughing in the kitchen, sick on the block, and they were just transferring people from one block to the other. So the ACLU ended up suing the city and the Department of Health for deliberate indifference.
Guys, I have two more questions for you. One is, so you get out, now you are living together in a pandemic, which obviously under different circumstances, you guys, Michael, you would have gotten out, then you would have gotten your own place, you guys would have dated. But now you all have this beautiful love story via letters. You've been living together almost a week. How is it going? I mean, that's a huge adjustment.
Technically, you're still locked in the house, though. So, yeah. Once you got lifted, what happened?
Yes, I know. At least one he can have sex with. I mean, this is way better.
I was rubbing his back the other night, and he was like, "Oh, my celly didn't do it like that."
Hopefully the sex is hot now. All right.
No, it's going pretty well. Yeah. I think we communicate well.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've we're doing all right.
Well,
all things considered, it's had there not been the COVID-19 lockdown and everything, coming out would have been a lot more stressful, because I would have had a lot more pressure on me to go out and get a job and produce and do all these things, with the world just going a million miles an hour. And instead, I get to be, locked in with a beautiful woman, and we watch TV and, drink champagne and just, just hang out, So, I mean, it's good to be out. And I mean, there is some stress behind, what's the future going to look like. But at the same time, there's nothing I can do about it. So I can just let go,
It's a nice time to transition.
That's so true. But you made a lot of future plans. You talked about going to restaurants, and when the city opens back up, and traveling. You guys need to go to Barcelona, like the real Barcelona.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's on our list. That's definitely on the list.
Okay, I'm still stuck on your hot sex life now. So I don't know why.
Are you using handcuffs? Like, are we getting into the character?
That's probably not attractive to you, right?
Won't play yet, but
that's actually bringing back memories.
That's bringing back. No, you're like, when Alicia brings out the handcuffs, you're like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
No, you could use a tie or a belt for in place of the handcuffs.
Oh, okay.
You guys are a hot couple. You guys are hot. And that's what, Oprah always said, the hottest guys are in jail, and you are smoking hot. You two are a beautiful couple. Guys, what do you say to other people? Because there is still a stigma. I mean, AJ and I were talking about how brave you two are, because I think when people immediately hear that, they think, oh my God, what were Michael's past problems? What do you guys say to somebody right now, a woman, a man who's taking a risk, who is maybe in love with someone that's locked up, that is then wants to be with them when they get out? What do you guys give for advice?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's incarceration is hard, right? So if someone is thinking of entering into a relationship with someone who is in jail, take it slow. Make sure that you really get to know that person, because I'm lucky that Michael and I knew each other before his incarceration.
Right.
So that makes things easier. But those situations inside are so desperate that unfortunately you do have some situations where, women create these fantasies in their mind, and then they're not prepared for the psychological fallout when the guy gets out, or maybe he's someone that he, said he's not who he said he was. But then other times you have beautiful love stories that do come out of incarceration. I mean, I think so many of us have made mistakes in our lives, and some of us are just lucky enough to have not gotten caught for it, or to have the privilege to just not interact with the criminal justice system at all. So you do have some really beautiful people in there who, never had a chance from the start, or who just happen to find themselves at the wrong place at the wrong time, and who are deeper human beings because of it. I think because of all that they've had to endure. So,
Michael, what do you say? I just love hearing you guys talk about it.
Yeah, it can definitely be difficult. It depends on how committed both people are and how genuine, how sincere they are about the issue at hand. Like Alicia did a fantastic job of being supportive. She was wonderful. Is wonderful. Like she was such a cheerleader throughout everything. Whenever I was feeling bad or down about something, she would always reassure me, and she was steadfast in her conviction of our relationship, of defending me, and she was very supportive. That I think is what was instrumental in the success of the relationship.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna lie, there were times where I was just like, man, this is silly. What am I doing? But she made sure that I knew that I was an important part of her life. And there are a lot of good guys in jail. I know it's kind of like it's kind of paradoxical sounding, but there are a lot of good guys in jail. But you still have to be careful because a lot of guys are dealing with their own demons, their own drug addictions or past abuse,
mental health, and I bet.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that, but it was difficult. The hardest part would be for me would be after a visit or a phone call, a really good phone call or visit, and I realize how much longer I have to go before I can be with her, and how that I'm locked up. It was just like a slap in the face. Like I'm still here. Oh my God.
Those post-visit blues are real. Like when you have that visit, you're on such a high and you get to like brush pinkies and just sit across the table from one another. And then the hour is up and you have to go and the guards are yelling at you to get out. And I would go through so many just emotional ups and downs, and there's a term for it. They call it the post-visit blues, when you're just really in this funk, realizing how much longer you have to go and the reality of the situation.
Yeah, Alicia would send me books.
Wow.
She became a member of a Facebook group for women who date incarcerated individuals. Like
I love it.
She did a lot. She did a lot to show me that she was committed to us, and it is very touching. It's very humbling. Everything she's done is extremely. I don't feel like I'm worthy of everything that she's done.
Oh, well, you definitely are. Sweet. You provide so much love for her too. I mean, you guys are a team, and this is exciting to see like how it's going to go. So we want to continue to check in with you guys every couple of weeks, because I just think, to be everything you've gone through, I'm sure every week you're going to be unpacking different emotions and working together. So we'd love to check back in with you guys in a couple of weeks, see how things are going. I'm sure we'll get other questions, and so hopefully you guys are open to those. And yeah, I mean, Alicia, tell us, because I know people are going to ask, what's the Facebook group?
So it's run by a nonprofit. Yeah, it's run by a nonprofit, which is incredible, called Strong Prison Wives and Families.
Okay.
And the Facebook group itself, for any women who do find themselves in that situation, it's Invisible Shackles. It's a private group. They do screen you to make sure that you are actually in a relationship with someone who's incarcerated. And it's run by this woman, Ro Clausen, who is married to a man serving 213 years for a series of crimes in which no one was hurt, of armed robberies. And he was sentenced under mandatory minimum federal laws that have since been changed with the First Step Act, but that have not been made. Those changes have not been made retroactive. So were he sentenced today, he would have gotten like 12 years. And he's been in there over 20. So she runs that group and she holds these women down, and she really gives a lot of like emotional support and coaching to women who happen to find themselves in the same situation.
I mean,
so she's been an incredible inspiration to me.
This sounds batshit crazy, but let's call Kim K. Let's get Kim Kardashian. That woman needs Kim K. Anyway,
he met Kim Kardashian.
You did? When she was in DC?
Yeah. She I left that part. I was while I was attending some classes through Georgetown. Georgetown had this program called the Prison Scholars Program, and Georgetown's big on prison reform and whatnot. And so every Tuesday we would have these guest lecture series, and we would have Michael Eric Dyson came once.
Yes, he's amazing.
Former presidential candidates came. A bunch of some good people had shown up. This time in particular, Kim Kardashian came with her whole film crew. She was doing a documentary for her new documentary.
Yep.
And so she pretty much listened to all the residents there talk about what was needed in jail for a change. and everybody spoke about, what their feelings about it were. And pretty much everybody agreed that education needed to be a part of incarceration and not just simply being warehoused, which is the problem. But Kim was there, and very nice girl, very nice girl.
Really? You were impressed? Did you think it was sincere and what she was doing, will have a positive impact? Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's good to have some celebrity behind it. And he offers that. And the interesting thing that was brought up was that what she was doing in relation to what she was doing and how it contrasted what you would think her position would be on crime, considering that she was a victim of an armed robbery herself when she was in Europe.
Yeah.
She would be, tough on crime and, keep him in there forever, give him bread and water because, she was like,
she could have been killed. It was that was such a scary experience.
Yeah. Wow. But she was definitely, you could tell she was sincere in her efforts.
God, you guys, this is a fascinating story. So we can't wait to check in with you in a couple weeks. Thank you for being open and, being brave to come on the show. And we can't wait to find out updates.
Following up.
Of course, thank you so much for having us.
You guys are great.
Nice to meet you guys.
Alicia, Michael, enjoy the day. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Take care.
See ya.
Nice talking to you.